Hi, this is Brittany Daig. Today I'm going to present to you my final project for RDG 592. The topic I chose to research is dialogic reading, an effective way to increase young children's vocabulary and oral language. I want to first start by talking about what dialogic reading is. The definition of dialogic means of, relating to, or characterized by dialogue. When it comes to reading a story, we should not just be reading through the words on the page, but rather having a conversation with our students about what is happening in the story. In dialogic reading, the adult helps the child become the teller of the story. The adult becomes the listener, the questioner, the audience for the child. We can't expect students to learn how to read by always being the listener. They need to be involved in the process through answering questions, expanding upon ideas, and retelling the story. Let's talk about who dialogic reading is designed for. It's typically used in preschool, but also it's beneficial in kindergarten, first, and even second grades. It can be used at home between a parent and child. The setting can be one-on-one, small group, or whole group. The prompts used in dialogic reading encourage students to use the author's language. Effective with both fiction and nonfiction books. The goal is to enhance students' oral language skills and expand their vocabulary. While I was completing my research on the topic of dialogic reading, I kept coming across the term emergent literacy, so I want to share with you how that is connected to dialogic reading. Emergent literacy is a term used to explain the idea that early literacy is established based on a developmental continuum. There are so many precursors to conventional forms of reading that happen early in a child's life at home and in the preschool years. These skills, such as conventions of print, pretending to read, and producing narratives, shouldn't be overlooked. The environment that students experience in their daycare and preschool years have a big effect on their emergent literacy. A teacher's behavior during shared reading that is focused on having a dialogue with students is directly related to them having a higher level of vocabulary and story comprehension. While dialogic reading may seem like a simple topic, it is very interesting to read what the research says. Dialogic reading is simple but packs a big punch when it comes to setting students up for success in their reading journey. On the next two slides, I will go over the research I found to support dialogic reading. Dialogic reading helps students gain the necessary skills to monitor their comprehension once they become independent readers. When teachers use dialogic reading during shared read-alouds at an early age, they are providing their students with effective techniques to take control of their comprehension processing. It has been proven that students come to realize that they can read with greater understanding and obtain more information and pleasure from books when a teacher uses a think aloud. A think aloud is when the teacher is verbalizing their thoughts while reading. A good reader will ask many questions when they read, such as ones used for dialogic reading. Students are able to build their comprehension, decoding, vocabulary, and fluency when read-alouds are highly effective. They can take these skills with them whenever they are reading, whether it be for school or personal goals. Why is dialogic reading beneficial to vocabulary acquisition? Children learn new words through oral conversations, but the level of words used in everyday talk is not the same level of words used in books. Everyday oral conversation alone does not provide the opportunity for children to develop and expand upon their vocabularies. The stories that teachers read aloud provide those opportunities for students to learn new words and connect their meanings across different contexts. Dialogic reading provides the perfect opportunity to focus on the meanings of words at a very young age, thus enhancing a child's vocabulary and helping them develop a more sophisticated oral language. A rich language supports early reading and writing. During dialogic reading, the interaction between the child and adult follows a sequence that can be remembered using the word peer. The adult first prompts the child to say something about the book, evaluates the child's response, expands the child's response by rephrasing and adding information to it, and finally repeats the prompt to make sure the child has learned from the expansion. On this slide, I will go over the prompts used in dialogic reading. There are 5 types of prompts used in dialogic reading. The word crowd is used to help remember these prompts. The examples I am going to share for each of these are from the story Fall Mixed Up, which I will share a clip of from my lesson on the next slide. The first prompt, completion, is leaving a blank at the end of a sentence for the child to fill in. It provides knowledge of language structure necessary for later reading. For example, you might say pumpkins turn the color, and the students would say orange. Recall prompts are questions about what has happened in a book that may relate to story plot or describing sequence of events. For example, you might say, what season was this story about? Open-ended prompts are used to focus on illustrations. They help to increase expressive fluency and attention to detail. For example, you might say, what is all mixed up on this page? WH prompts begin with what, where, when, why, and how. They also focus on illustrations and teach new vocabulary. For example, you may ask, where are they wearing their gloves? Distancing prompts require children to relate pictures or words to personal experiences outside the book. They help to connect books to the real world and develop verbal fluency, conversational abilities, and narrative skills. For example, you might say, the family is eating a bounty of sweet treats on this page. What might you have received a bounty of on Halloween? The following is a short clip of dialogic reading being performed with my class of kindergarten students that highlights the peer sequence and crowd prompts mentioned on the 2 previous slides.
Apples turn orange, pumpkins turn red. Leaves float up into blue skies overhead. Oh no, this page is all mixed up. What colors do apples turn? Well, everybody answer this. What colors can apples turn? Red. They could also turn green and yellow. Yellow, yes, very good. What colors, everybody, do pumpkins turn? Orange. Yeah, pumpkins don't turn red. Green. Look at these red pumpkins. Where, I want us to raise our hand for this one. Where are the leaves going? Brian? Can you see that? Are they going up or are they going down? Let's help Brian. Where are they going, friends? Going up, but where are leaves supposed to go? Down. That's all mixed up too. How are they cleaning up those leaves? Raise your hand. Look, how are they cleaning up those leaves? Isabella? Are they raking the leaves like we normally rake the leaves?
No! From a hot air balloon.
They're using a hot air balloon to rake leaves. That's all mixed up too. Oh no!
They're mixing up.
This author is very mixed up. Bears gather nuts. Geese hibernate.
No!
What are the bears doing? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. What are the bears doing, Apollo?
Stuck on things. It's stuck in a tree.
Bears in a tree? What?
You know what? I know.
What does hibernating means? What does hibernating mean, John? Do you remember? What does hibernating mean? Hibernating means to sleep all winter long. What
Gather a
animals?
lot of food.
What animals usually gather nuts? Eliana?
Squirrels.
Squirrels and the bears are gathering nuts here. That's all mixed up too. And who is hibernating?
The bear.
Look in the.
Bunny.
I'll read the page again. Bears gather nuts. Geese hibernate.
The geese.
Do you think geese hibernate?
No!
Silly
Please
Tina's all
hibernate.
Yes, let's check our bodies.
The following are recommendations for dialogic reading. Selecting the right book for dialogic reading is crucial to its success. Read-alouds should include well-illustrated quality literature. Fiction, poetry, and information books work best. The use of different genres exposes students to different story structures, which are introduced and explicitly taught during dialogic reading. Narrative stories tend to be what teachers gravitate towards for read-alouds, but should not be the only choice when performing dialogic reading. Recommendations for assessment. For students at the preschool and kindergarten level, assessment may look like having one-on-one conferences with the students where you ask them recall questions regarding the story that was read together. For students that are in first or second grade that have more writing abilities, assessment may incorporate written responses. Visual models to guide students' thinking during read-alouds may be used to aid in their responses. Examples may be using flashcards or bookmarks such as the ones shared on the next slide. The following examples are visual models that come from the research article titled ABCs of Performing Highly Effective Read-alouds by Block and Israel. The first figure are flashcards that students can use to remind them of what to look for and do while reading. The second figure are bookmarks that students can use to enhance their thinking while reading independently. On this slide, I have shared some additional resources to further your understanding and aid in using dialogic reading both at home and in a school setting. The first is a link to the Reading Rockets website with a helpful article in parent-friendly language that talks about how to have a conversation with your child while reading. The next two resources are links to bookmarks that feature the crowd and peer questions and prompts to use while reading. The following are all of the references to research articles, websites, and books I used to help me in my research on dialogic reading. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation about dialogic reading. I hope you learned something helpful you can use with your own children at home or the students you teach.